Welcome, everyone. I'm excited to introduce today's presentation. The title is The Silent Destroyer of Marriages. We'll explore a critical pattern that, if left unchecked, can quietly undermine even the strongest marriages. Over the next few slides, we'll examine why many women, even those married to loving and high-quality men, can sometimes treat their spouses with less kindness, respect, and emotional generosity. We'll also discuss how marriage is meant to be a sanctuary, a place of safety, loyalty, and emotional belonging, and why so many relationships drift away from that ideal. So, let's dive in and understand what's really going on beneath the surface. His kindness is a reflection of commitment. Hers, however, becomes a reflection of contempt. The husband, meanwhile, isn't being weak at all. He thinks, "This is my wife. This is just one bad day out of thousands. I promise to love her in the worse as much as the better." Of course, none of this is rational. But in the emotional world many women live in, this is how respect is lost, slowly, silently, and often permanently. If he still loves me despite my disrespect, I can continue. If he comforts me while I mistreat him, he must not respect himself. If he tolerates my bad behavior, he must be a fool. This is the twisted logic, because in her mind, he's being nice while she's being cruel, and that makes him weak. Why? And instead of appreciating his support, she lashes out at him, treats him as if he's the problem, punishes him emotionally for something he had nothing to do with. A woman comes home furious from her job. Her husband notices immediately and tries to help. He speaks gently, gives her space, asks what's wrong. Now let's shift to another scenario, one we see far too often in marriages. Why? Because both of them instinctively understand something important. The relationship matters more than a moment of emotional inconvenience. Suddenly the man realizes he's being unfair. He apologizes. He pets Champ. He reconnects. Champ senses something is off and comes closer, nudging him with affection. A man comes home after a brutal day at work. He's tired, frustrated, mentally drained. His dog, Champ, runs up to greet him like he always does. But today, the man barely acknowledges him. This is how marriages quietly die. It's not because she's evil or intentionally trying to hurt him. Instead, it's often because she instinctively tests emotional boundaries. Think of it as a way to understand where he stands. And when she doesn't find those boundaries, she begins to see him less as a strong partner. Every time he absorbs her disrespect without challenging it, her respect for him slowly erodes. Over time, she might start to see him as an emotional dumping ground rather than a true partner, a leader, or a man she admires. When a woman repeatedly attacks the one man who loves her most, something dangerous happens. Respect, which is essential for a healthy relationship, starts to diminish. This pattern of testing and disrespect can quietly undermine the foundation of the marriage. It's a cycle that, if left unchecked, can lead to emotional disconnection and, ultimately, the end of the relationship. That's why understanding these dynamics is so important in preserving respect and love over the long term. Not immediately, not comfortably, but eventually and deeply. She regains respect for him, and most importantly, because the emotional contamination stops. The relationship begins to heal. This healing happens because she grows stronger through accountability. Others stop seeing her as an easy target, and instead, she creates healthier boundaries at home. She stops displacing her emotions onto him, and as a result, she becomes frustrated less often. When he says this calmly, confidently, and consistently, several things happen. This is the kind of masculine clarity most women desperately need, yet rarely receive. He might say, "You being rude to me because you can't handle pressure at work is not how this relationship will function. If something at work makes you feel ineffective or disrespectful, talk to me so I can help you solve it. Don't try to regain ego at my expense." What this highlights is that a man must confront disrespect directly and without fear. There is indeed a way to break this toxic cycle, but it requires courage, emotional discipline, and leadership. And this is the core of the solution: high-level confrontation. It was even the transformation path for the original narrator, from defensiveness and entitlement to clarity, maturity, and respect. Over time, most women come to appreciate the honesty, stability, and masculine leadership that this type of communication offers. It's important to understand that this approach forces accountability, making it clear when boundaries are crossed. It also removes the emotional, free pass that some might expect, helping to establish healthier dynamics. This process dismantles the illusion that being a wife automatically entitles her to emotional cruelty or unfair treatment. But I know that confrontation can feel like exposure, which is why many women resist it at first. It's natural to feel uncomfortable when honesty is on the table, especially if it challenges long-standing patterns or beliefs. Understanding this resistance is key, because ultimately, it's about fostering growth and mutual respect in the relationship. And finally, I want to leave you with this powerful idea. Marriage should be a sanctuary, not a battlefield. When we realize this, our perspective shifts completely. Her admiration for her partner returns, her respect begins to rebuild, and the marriage finds stability again. Both partners can get back to what marriage was truly meant to be, a place of mutual respect and support. It's important to understand that she learns he is not an emotional target or a doormat, and he should never be disrespected without consequences. When a man finally stands up and sets boundaries, the relationship changes. Women who repeatedly mistreat their husbands aren't doing so because the men are unworthy. Often, it's because no one has ever confronted destructive behaviors with a firm but loving approach. So the bottom line here is that healthy, respectful relationships come from understanding and mutual accountability. Rebuilding respect and setting boundaries creates a foundation where love and stability can truly flourish.